The night on the river was torn apart by the deafening roar of gunfire right next to the boat. A Burmese pirate ship loomed out of the shadows, blocking the path in a blatant show of intimidation. The boatman knew exactly who these people were and immediately told everyone to stay still, keep their heads down, and absolutely not look them in the eye if they didn't want to be slaughtered. The pirates threw ropes to pull the boat closer, and their leader arrogantly declared that this stretch of the river belonged to him, and anyone passing through had to pay. He barked a question at the white people, asking where they were going. Butch replied that they were only carrying medicine to help people. But luck was not on their side. One of the pirates spotted the girl, and the leader insisted she be brought onto their ship. The boatman offered to give them everything else they had if they would just leave her alone. In response, he received nothing but insults and curses. The boatman quickly assessed the enemy's weaponry and suddenly pulled his gun, firing a shot directly into the leader's skull and taking out two others standing nearby in the blink of an eye. He then leaped onto the pirate boat, finishing off the last one still gasping for air before tossing his body into the river. One member of the group screamed in the boatman's face, saying they came here to stop the killing, not to commit murder. This guy was still green and didn't realize he was poking a superhero-level beast. The boatman's name is Butch, and he lives on the Thailand-Myanmar border. Butch leads a quiet, simple life. During the day, he ferries people, and in his spare time, he catches venomous cobras for fun, or rather, to make a living. Suddenly, David, a missionary, tracks him down. David offers to hire Butch to take his group upstream into Myanmar to provide medical supplies and Bibles to the Karen people. When Butch asks about weapons, David claims the group is going empty-handed. Butch hits him with a cold splash of sarcasm. "You aren't going to change anything." The group is ready to give up, but Emily isn't. She turns back to ask why, but Butch just politely dismisses her. "Go home. You shouldn't be here." Meanwhile, across the border, the military junta is playing deadly games. They force villagers to pull the pins on 3 grenades, toss them into a field, and then make the people run through the mine-riddled land for entertainment. One person accidentally steps on a mine and is blown to pieces. The others, frozen in terror, are immediately gunned down by the soldiers until no one is left. At his forge, Butch is busy crafting the tools he needs. Emily finds him again, pleading for him to take them upstream. Butch says nothing, only advising her to leave. Emily walks away in disappointment, while Butch goes back to hammering the glowing red iron. At the same time, soldiers storm a village to kidnap children under the age of 12 for the army. The commander threatens that anyone who saves the kids will have their village burned. Anyone who calls the Karen rebels will have their tongue cut out, and anyone who resists will simply be killed. That evening, Butch finishes forging a new propeller for his boat. Under the pouring rain, he sees Emily already waiting for him on the boat. Emily argues that she has everything she needs back in America, but she wants to come here to make a difference. Butch tells her to go back and live her good life, saying that war is just a power game for a few leaders while the civilians are just victims caught in the middle. Emily starts to walk away but stops halfway. She senses that Butch actually cares. She walks back and explains that while he may have lost faith in people, he is still loyal to something, and saving a life would mean his own life isn't wasted. After a moment of thought, Butch decides to agree. Early the next morning, the group sets off. Emily thanks Butch for the ride. She knows he's from the US and used to work with horses before being sent to Vietnam. Emily shares that she was a tiger caretaker. The conversation is going well until David interrupts. Emily explains that they are engaged and that he's a good man, a total friend-zone moment for Butch. During the night while everyone is asleep, a Burmese pirate boat appears. They fire a flare near the boat as a warning. Butch immediately tells everyone to stay still, keep their heads down, and absolutely not look them in the eye or they will be killed. The pirates pull the boat closer. The leader claims the river belongs to him and demands a toll. He asks where the white people are headed, and Butch says they are bringing medicine to the sick. Suddenly, a pirate notices there is a woman on board. The leader aggressively demands they hand Emily over. Butch tells them to take everything else and leave her alone. The leader tells Butch to shut up and curses at him, forcing him to bring Emily over right now. Butch watches the enemy's weapons, then suddenly draws his gun and shoots the leader in the head, wipes out 2 more standing there, and jumps onto the pirate boat to finish off the last survivor. David screams in horror, insisting they came to stop the violence. Butch barks back, "Who do you think you are? They were going to hurt her and then cut your head off." David trembles and wants to go back to Thailand, but Emily firmly refuses. She insists this is the group's mission and commitment. Emily turns to beg Butch to keep going. Butch warns her one last time that she won't change anything in this place, but seeing her determination, he tells her to sit down and continues steering the boat through the dark night. By morning, the group reaches their destination. David says they will return by land, so there's no need for Butch to wait. He even threatens to report the killings, arguing that taking a life is never right. Butch doesn't even bother saying a word to him. Emily gives Butch a necklace with a crucifix. As they walk away, she keeps looking back, and Butch watches her until she disappears before turning his boat around. On the way back, Butch returns to the location of the pirate boat and pushes it into a hidden corner. He jumps on, pours gasoline, and sets it on fire to erase all evidence of the clash. Meanwhile, Emily's group reaches the target village and receives a warm welcome. The group enthusiastically distributes food, medicine, and Bibles. Emily feels satisfied until she enters a house and is heartbroken to see young boys with amputated legs. The peace is short-lived as a bomb suddenly hits the house where Emily is standing, filling the air with smoke, fire, and screams. Emily quickly grabs a child and runs. In the chaos, the military begins a massacre. They relentlessly load mortars and open fire. People fall wherever the shells land in a horrific scene. Seeing that long-range fire isn't enough, the soldiers storm the village, spraying bullets at unarmed civilians as if trying to wipe them out completely. Anyone who resists is shot on the spot. They fire grenades to burn down houses and snatch the children away. David is running when a soldier knocks him to the ground. Survivors try to scramble into the fields, but a mounted machine gun mows down those trying to flee. Emily also trips and falls face first into a muddy puddle. The commander calmly smokes a cigarette while watching the carnage like it's entertainment. After one final volley of gunfire at the survivors, he orders his men to take the remaining prisoners. Emily cannot escape her fate and is dragged away. That night, Butch stays awake by the fire of his forge. The next morning, he waits for a group of mercenaries to set out. Jack, the white group leader, starts talking trash. "What's the matter, boatman? Did the trip scare you?" He forces Butch to look him in the eye. Butch slowly turns with a piercing gaze that makes Jack back down. Billy chimes in. "Butch is ex-Special Forces, don't mess with him." Then he adds, "We're just rookies, not the tough guys. We prefer using our brains to prove we have them." He doesn't forget to brag about his sniping skills and a long list of confirmed kills. Butch stays silent. Early that morning, the boat docks, and they are met by a young man named Ben and a boy named Tim. Jack scoffs. "Is this all the rebels have?" Ben reports that the military camp is 10 kilometers west and a 6-kilometer hike through the jungle, with about 100 soldiers there, and even more expected tomorrow. Hearing the number, 100 soldiers, armed to the teeth, makes one member feel uneasy. Jack orders Butch to stay with the boat since he's just the boatman, but Butch has already quietly packed his gear and is ready to hike with the group. A team member sees Butch with his bag and wonders what he's doing. Jack insists he stay behind, and Butch explains he won't slow them down, but Jack still refuses. Billy speaks up for him, saying Butch can cover the rear with him, but Jack brushes it off. After checking their weapons, the group moves out. Butch stands there watching them disappear before quietly taking his own path. The mercenaries trek through the forest and cross a stream, passing by a massive, unexploded bomb lying in the middle of the jungle. As the soldiers look on in confusion, their guide, Ben, explains that this is a tallboy bomb dropped by the British in World War II that failed to detonate. They arrive at the village where Emily's group was captured, and the scene is devastating. The army has swept through, killing everything and leaving bodies scattered everywhere. Ben tells the boy Tim to go back and warns everyone to be extremely careful because mines are planted everywhere. One slip and they're gone. Billy wants to check for survivors. One member dismisses it, saying not even a dog could survive, but the sniper insists. Seeing the members start to argue, Jack decides to check the situation and, if it looks bad, they'll get out fast. As Ben is showing the way, military trucks suddenly arrive. The group quickly dives for cover. 2 military vehicles stop and drop off a group of prisoners. Billy considers shooting but is stopped because it would alert the enemy. The soldiers start pulling out money to place bets. One pulls the pin on a grenade and tosses it into the field, followed by a few more. The mercenaries are confused about what they're doing. Then the soldiers push the villagers down into a starting position and fire a shot to signal them to run. It turns out this is a minefield race hosted by these monsters. They force the villagers to run through the minefield. If someone luckily makes it to the finish line, the soldier who bet on them wins the money. A soldier is holding his gun, ready to execute a villager, when a sudden arrow whistles through the air and pins him. Butch appears, drawing his bow and firing 2 more arrows in quick succession to take down 2 more armed soldiers. Another soldier tries to reach for his gun, but can't escape Butch's aim. Butch finishes off 1 more, just as the mercenaries catch up. The leader, Jack, looks at the bodies in shock and asks, Where did you learn to kill like that? Butch coldly tells them to just move. One person immediately protests, saying if they stay, the army will hunt them like animals. Jack also demands they head back to the boat immediately, even threatening to kill Butch if he says another word. Butch draws his bow, aiming an arrow right between the leader's eyes. Butch threatens, "Nobody is going anywhere. None of us want to be here, but this is what needs to be done. Live for nothing, or die for something. Your call." Intimidated by Butch's authority, Jack gives in. Butch tells Ben to lead them to the camp. At the camp, the soldiers are excitedly watching a dance performed by the captive girls. Butch and the mercenaries agree they have exactly 15 minutes to act. The rule is first in, first out. Meet at the base of the tower and wait for no one. Under the heavy rain, Ben drives a truck carrying Butch and the team as they quietly enter the camp gates. Another member climbs the watchtower and takes out the sleeping guard. The truck passes through safely. Butch and the mercenaries jump out, spreading into different corners to find the hostages. Most of the enemy soldiers are distracted by the performance, with only a few guards standing around lazily. When there are less than 5 minutes left, Butch finds a hut where the male missionaries are being held blindfolded. He signals them to be quiet, quickly cuts David's ropes, and tells him to untie the others. Butch asks sternly, "Where's the girl?" David points toward the cellar where Emily is kept. At the performance area, a soldier bored with the dance tosses a lit cigarette at a girl on stage. Another stands up and throws water on her to the cheers of the crowd. Butch alerts his teammates about 2 more hostages in a cage near the pig pen so they can rescue them. The noisy shouting of the soldiers becomes the perfect sound cover for the rescue team. Jack hides against a wall, holding his breath as 2 soldiers walk by beneath the stage floor. Butch moves silently like a ghost. The leader stumbles out of a hut, lowers his headlamp to check on the prey, and goes back to drinking. As the crowd gets rowdier, a soldier grabs a girl by the hair and throws her to the ground as the others swarm her like wild animals. He runs down to push the others away to claim her for himself, while others rush the stage to fight over 3 other poor girls. Outside, the search for hostages continues. A soldier drags a girl outside and pushes her to the ground, preparing to assault her. As the girl tries to crawl under the floorboards to hide, a rescue member catches her, covering her mouth and signaling for silence. When the soldier leans down to look for her, the rescuer suddenly plunges a knife into his stomach and drags the body inside to hide it. In another direction, Butch has just jumped under the floorboards to avoid a sweeping searchlight, where he accidentally finds Emily. Right on time, Billy starts firing from the watchtower. He takes out the surrounding guards with precise sniper shots. Hearing the gunfire, the group knows time is up and heads for the extraction point. However, Emily hasn't been rescued yet because a soldier has dragged her away. At the meeting point, Jack curses when he sees Butch about to go back. "Why are you risking your life like this?" He declares there is only 1 minute left and they can't save anyone else. Butch says nothing, coldly ordering Jack to get the others out before disappearing into the shadows under the tower. The rescued group is gathered. David frantically asks about Emily, but Jack shuts him down. 15 minutes, that was the deal. No more. Billy suggests 5 more minutes, but Jack refuses, insisting Butch knew the deal. When David refuses to leave without Emily, Jack tackles him to the ground. "If you risk our lives one more time, I'll kill you right here." Jack then forces everyone to get up and move. Inside a commander's tent, he is about to force himself on Emily when Butch sneaks in from behind. He uses one hand to lock onto the man's throat, crushing it so he can't make a sound. Butch quickly unties Emily and leads her away. In the distance, the camp area begins to erupt in chaos and fire as the rescue teams move out. Emily is running but cuts her leg. The pain makes it impossible to keep going. Butch tells her to stop so he can bandage it, despite Emily's worry that she's slowing him down. Behind them, the enemy has discovered the breach. Soldiers scramble and open fire to signal the start of the hunt. At the camp, soldiers pile into trucks, ready for the manhunt. They even bring tracking dogs, letting them sniff Emily's belongings to catch her scent. In another direction, the mercenaries are fleeing when a grenade is thrown, injuring Jack's leg. He screams, "My leg!" The army immediately hears the noise and pivots their pursuit toward the sound. The others try to keep him quiet, but the pain is too intense. Ben has disappeared, but luckily another member claims to know the coordinates. Meanwhile, Butch realizes the dogs are closing in. Without hesitation, he turns and tears a piece of cloth from Emily's clothes to distract the hounds. He orders Emily and Billy, "I want you 2 to head southeast to the river where the boat is waiting." He adds that if they don't reach the boat, just follow the riverbank until he finds them. Butch takes a mine from Billy and tells him to fire a shot. The gunshot rings out to draw the enemy's attention toward him. Butch pushes them away. Go now. Butch ties Emily's cloth to a tree and takes the mine. By now, a high-speed boat and several military trucks are racing toward the sound. The tracking dog, picking up the scent of the cloth, leads the soldiers in a different direction. Butch runs with all his might to execute a daring plan. He finds the massive World War II tallboy bomb that never exploded. Butch places the mine in a critical spot, connects a tripwire, and uses leaves to hide the detonator. The dogs reach the cloth and start barking. A soldier spots Emily's fabric caught on the wire. He curiously grabs it and pulls hard. The detonator is revealed, and in an instant, the mine explodes, triggering the massive payload inside the tallboy. A massive shockwave shakes the entire forest, vaporizing everything nearby. The sheer force of the blast throws Butch down a distant slope. Emily is also knocked down, but Billy quickly encourages her to get up and keep running. The military patrol boat sees the explosion and immediately heads toward it. While running, Billy suddenly tells Emily to get down. He props up his rifle and looks through the scope, then calls Emily over. Before them, David's group has been recaptured. Billy notices a soldier operating a heavy machine gun, an extremely dangerous threat, so he doesn't dare move yet. The soldiers are brutally torturing David's group. The commander uses a whip to lash David repeatedly, causing blood to spray as he vents his rage. Another soldier runs over to kick Jack and jams a stick into his leg wound, making him scream in agony. After the brutal torture, they line everyone up in a row, preparing for execution by firing squad. Billy is at a loss as everyone prepares for death when suddenly Butch appears from behind. He swings his machete in one decisive stroke, decapitating a soldier nearby before seizing the heavy machine gun on the truck. Butch opens fire. The thunderous roar of the gun mows down a line of soldiers. Billy immediately coordinates with long-range sniper fire while David's group quickly scatters to grab enemy weapons to fight back. One soldier tries to throw a grenade but is shot by Jack. The grenade still lands near the mercenaries and explodes, knocking one backward. Butch quickly grabs large belts of ammo, feeding them into the gun to continue raining fire on the enemy. At this point, the enemy leader frantically runs up to try and shoot the rescuers. Another soldier suddenly rushes out and kills a member of the missionary group right in front of David. Seeing this tragedy, David spots a soldier about to shoot Jack. He lunges at him, knocking him down and using a stone to bash him repeatedly until he's dead. At the height of the battle, Ben returns with the Karen rebels to provide backup. They pour down from the hills like a flood. Seeing the reinforcements, Butch swings the barrel of the machine gun to sweep away the remaining soldiers. The Karen rebels fire mortars at the military, knocking them down. The guide, Ben, performs a spectacular flip over a fallen tree before shooting two soldiers in front of him. The rebels continue to swarm down, completely overwhelming the battlefield. A patrol boat arrives from a distance, firing on the rescue group. They then use a flamethrower to spray fire onto the bank. One mercenary is hit by the fire and has to roll on the ground to put out the flames. Seeing another squad of enemies rushing in on a truck, Butch calmly turns the machine gun and sprays a line of fire that wipes out everyone on the truck. Without stopping, he turns and fires directly at the boat in the river, sending the two soldiers in the cockpit to their graves. Billy coordinates perfectly, sniping the machine gunner on the boat. At the same time, Ben shoulders a rocket launcher, takes careful aim, and fires a shot that blows the boat to pieces. The military leader isn't dead yet. He stumbles around looking for an escape, but Butch is faster, jumping down from his firing position. The man runs to a tree but takes a fatal knife strike to the gut, falling dead instantly. Butch stands there in the middle of the battlefield, his chest heaving as he gasps for air. Everyone stumbles through the smoke and fire, searching for survivors. Emily rushes down, calling for David. Butch quietly watches her walk away, feeling a flicker of pain because the person he cares about most doesn't even notice him. Emily reaches David, and the two embrace emotionally. David leaves Emily's arms to go tend to the wounded. Emily sobs as she sees how many people have sacrificed their lives. David looks up, sees Butch standing there, and gives him a respectful salute. Butch salutes back. Finally, Emily raises her hand to wave to Butch, crying bitterly with regret because her stubbornness led to so many lives being lost. Butch decides to leave the deadly border region to return to his home in Arizona, just as Emily had once asked. Butch stops in front of a mailbox with the name B. Walker. This is his family's ranch. Before him is a peaceful scene of horses grazing quietly by the old house. Butch looks back at the road he just traveled, smiles, and walks straight into the ranch, officially closing his life of hardship abroad to return to the peace of his homeland. The movie ends here. What do you think about this film? Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to follow more great movie reviews from us.